Most people live their entire lives carrying the weight of decisions they never made. They wonder why poverty, addiction, anger, broken marriages, or sickness seem to repeat in their families like a script passed down from one generation to the next. They assume this is just their destiny, that they are doomed to repeat the cycle. But the truth is, what you tolerate will continue, and what you confront can be broken. A curse is not a random shadow that follows you. A curse is an unauthorized law working against your potential, and until you recognize it, confront it, and replace it with God's truth, it will continue to control your life. When you were born, you entered not just a family, but a pattern, a way of thinking, speaking, and living. Some patterns were good. They built you, blessed you, and pushed you forward. But others were destructive. They taught you fear instead of faith, scarcity instead of abundance, bitterness instead of forgiveness. If you don't challenge those patterns, they will pass through you into the next generation like an invisible inheritance. This is why some families stay poor for generations, why anger runs like blood through a family line, why fatherlessness keeps repeating, why certain sicknesses seem to claim every generation. But you were not born to be a prisoner of history. You were born to rewrite the story. The first step to breaking a generational curse is acknowledging it. You cannot change what you refuse to confront, and you cannot confront what you deny. If you see the same destructive pattern in your life that you saw in your parents or grandparents, that is not a coincidence. That is a cycle. And cycles don't stop by accident, they stop by intentional decision. You must get to a place where you say, enough, this ends with me. That's where the power of God meets your decision. When you understand that a curse is a legal claim the enemy holds against your family, you also understand that it can be cancelled. Think about this. The cross was God's courtroom, where every curse was nailed and its legal right revoked. But just because the curse is paid for doesn't mean it automatically leaves your life. You must enforce the victory that has already been given to you. This is where prayer becomes not just a ritual, but a weapon. You stand in agreement with God's word and speak a new decree over your life. I am blessed. My children are blessed. My household is blessed. Poverty has no place here. Fear has no place here. Division has no place here. Addiction has no place here. To break a generational curse, you must also change what you feed your mind and spirit. A cursed mindset cannot produce a blessed life. You cannot think like a victim and live like a victor. You must renew your mind daily until your thoughts agree with God's thoughts. Every time an old belief tries to whisper, "You'll never make it," you must answer back with truth. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am chosen and not forgotten. These words are not just religious phrases. They are legal decrees that rewrite the pattern in your spirit. Many people try to pray against a curse while still practicing the behaviors that activate it. You cannot break what you keep feeding. If your family line has been marked by anger, you must make peace your discipline. If your family has been marked by poverty, you must learn and practice stewardship and generosity. If your family has been marked by fear, you must become a student of faith. This is not just about saying prayers. This is about building a new culture that your children and grandchildren will inherit. Breaking a generational curse will feel lonely because you are the first in your family to do it. You may feel misunderstood, criticized, or even resisted by those closest to you. But history makers are rarely celebrated at first. You must be willing to stand alone today so that your children can stand free tomorrow. This is why vision is so important. You must see beyond your own lifetime. You are not just fighting for yourself. You are building a legacy. Generational curses are stubborn because they have history on their side. They have patterns, memories, and behaviors that make them feel normal. But once you get a revelation of who you are and who you belong to, the curse loses its power. You begin to live differently, speak differently, think differently. And the moment your decisions line up with truth, the curse begins to crack. You must understand that breaking a generational curse is not just about stopping something. It is about starting something new. It is about planting seeds of blessing that will outlive you. When you choose forgiveness, you plant peace. When you choose wisdom, you plant stability. When you choose faith, you plant courage. And just like curses can last for generations, so can blessings. The decisions you make today will echo for years to come. Your life becomes a testimony that it is possible to be the first in your family to break free, the first to stay married, the first to build wealth, the first to graduate, the first to leave a spiritual inheritance. You become a signpost that says, this is the way forward. And everyone watching you sees what is possible when one person dares to stop living under the weight of the past and start living under the blessing of God's promise. Breaking a generational curse requires more than wishful thinking. It requires an intentional confrontation with history. Most of what we call destiny is really discipline. The willingness to choose a different path when the easy road pulls you back to the old way. You must first trace the patterns that run through your bloodline. Look at the history of your family with spiritual eyes. Notice what keeps repeating. Do you see poverty reappearing no matter how hard people work? Do you see anger destroying relationships again and again? Do you see addiction creeping from one generation to the next? Do you see people quitting before their breakthrough? Once you identify the pattern, you can name it. And when you name it, you strip it of its power to hide in the shadows. Acknowledging the problem is not dishonoring your family. It is honoring your future. You are not blaming your parents or grandparents. You are recognizing that something has been holding your family hostage long enough, and it is time for someone to pay the ransom and set the captives free. Often the curse is not just in behavior, but in belief. If your family has believed for generations, we are just poor people, then poverty is not just financial. It has become mental. If your family has believed that men never stay or relationships never work, then failure has become an expectation. And what you expect, you often attract. This is why renewing the mind is the most powerful weapon in breaking a curse. Because once you think differently, you live differently. You must also recognize that a curse is spiritual in nature. It cannot be broken by willpower alone. This is why people try to change, but keep falling back into the same habits. A spiritual problem requires a spiritual solution. You must partner with God and allow His Spirit to expose every lie that has become a stronghold in your mind. This is not a one-time emotional prayer. This is a process. Day after day, you replace the old lie with a new truth until your mind becomes reprogrammed. If the curse told you, you are worthless, you speak, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. If the curse told you, you will always struggle, you declare, I am blessed going in and blessed coming out. The words you speak become the laws that govern your new life. Breaking a generational curse will cost you something. It will cost you your excuses. It will cost you the comfort of being like everyone else. It will cost you the approval of those who are content to stay in bondage. It may even cost you relationships that are unwilling to grow with you. But freedom always has a price. You must decide that the pain of staying stuck is greater than the pain of change. Once that decision is made, you become unstoppable because you no longer negotiate with the past. Another key to breaking a curse is forgiveness. Many people are still tied to generational cycles because they are carrying bitterness against the very people who passed the pain down to them. As long as you hold resentment, you remain connected to the chain. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay. It is saying they no longer have the power to control your future. When you forgive, you break the emotional and spiritual agreement with the curse. Forgiveness frees you from carrying yesterday's poison into tomorrow's purpose. You must also learn the power of confession and repentance. Some curses are empowered by sin, not just personal sin, but generational iniquity. When you repent on behalf of your bloodline, you are standing in the gap and closing the legal door that the enemy has been walking through for generations. You say, "This stops here." You ask God to cleanse the family line and restore everything that was stolen. This kind of prayer is not casual. It is deliberate, it is passionate, and it is consistent. Lifestyle change is where many fail because they want a spiritual breakthrough without natural obedience. Breaking the curse means you no longer do what kept the curse alive. If your family was cursed with debt, you start learning financial wisdom, saving, giving, investing, and living with discipline. If your family was cursed with anger, you learn emotional regulation, humility, and healthy communication. If your family was cursed with sickness from poor choices, you begin to treat your body as a temple. Your choices become prophetic actions. Every time you choose discipline over destruction, you are saying to the curse, "You will not have my children. You will not have my marriage. You will not have my future." But the enemy will try to fight harder when you first make the decision to break free. This is because he knows that if you break the curse, you break his control over an entire bloodline. You may see things get worse before they get better. Do not mistake resistance for failure. Resistance is proof that something is shifting. When you feel that pressure, stand firm. Pray harder, speak louder, and refuse to back down. Breakthrough often comes after the greatest battle. Breaking a generational curse is not just about what you stop. It is about what you start. You must intentionally build a new culture for your family. Start new traditions. Establish times of prayer together. Teach your children who they are and what they are capable of. Teach them to think like conquerors, not victims. Teach them generosity so that the curse of scarcity never returns. Teach them discipline so that the curse of laziness has no entry point. What you build today becomes the inheritance they walk into tomorrow. Blessings can run in families just like curses. When you choose to live by truth, you set into motion a blessing that can flow for generations. Your children will enjoy benefits they didn't fight for because you fought for them. They will grow up in peace because you ended the war. They will have opportunities because you broke the chains that kept your family small. This is why the fight is worth it. Because you are not just fighting for you. You are fighting for everyone who will come after you. Breaking a curse is a process that requires persistence. You may not see results overnight, but keep going. Every time you speak life instead of death, the curse gets weaker. Every time you choose faith instead of fear, the chain loses another link. Every time you practice discipline, you are building a new normal. Do not underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. Little by little, the curse loses its hold until one day you realize you are no longer reacting the way your parents did, no longer thinking the way they did, no longer repeating the cycle. That is the evidence that freedom has taken root. This process will test your patience and perseverance. You may feel tempted to give up when progress is slow, but remember that you are not just undoing years of damage. You are undoing generations. Some battles are won quickly, others take time, but every step you take is a step away from the past and toward the future. Do not despise the process, because the process is building strength in you. You are not just becoming free. You are becoming the kind of person who can lead others to freedom. Your voice will carry authority in the area where you once struggled. Your story will inspire others who thought they were stuck forever. Your victory will become a blueprint for others who are still trapped. This is how God turns generational pain into generational purpose. By using the one who broke the curse as a guide for others. You will be able to say, "I know what it feels like to be bound, But I also know what it feels like to be free. Follow me as I follow truth. When you decide to confront the cycles in your bloodline, you must prepare for spiritual opposition. The enemy is not intimidated by casual believers. He is threatened by those who dare to step into authority. This is why, when you begin to break free, old temptations may come back, old habits may resurface, old voices may try to call you back to where you came from. You must be vigilant because the enemy would rather see you discouraged than see you delivered. Every time you refuse to bow, you are not only protecting your own destiny, but also clearing the path for those who will walk after you. Some curses are hidden under what people call just the way we are. You might hear people in your family say things like, "In this family, no one ever gets ahead," or "all the men are like this," or "marriages never last." When these phrases are repeated, they create an expectation. An expectation becomes agreement. To break the curse, you must break the agreement. You must open your mouth and cancel every word spoken over your family that does not line up with God's promise. Words are spiritual contracts. You can't stay silent and expect them to lose power. Speak the opposite. Declare that your family will prosper, that your children will walk in wisdom, that your marriage will be strong, that peace will reign in your household. Your daily decisions become the foundation for the new life you are building. If anger ruled your family, choose patience even when it costs you pride. If addiction ruled your family, choose sobriety and surround yourself with accountability. If financial chaos ruled your family, choose to budget, to live within your means, to learn stewardship principles, to give generously. You are creating a blueprint that shows the next generation what it looks like to live differently. They may not understand the price you are paying right now, but one day they will rise up and call you blessed because you were the one who decided that enough was enough. Breaking a generational curse also means learning to take responsibility for your own choices. Sometimes we are quick to blame everything on the past, but at some point you must own the present. You cannot keep saying, "It's just how I was raised," as an excuse to stay the same. You may have been raised in dysfunction, but you don't have to stay in dysfunction. You may have been born into brokenness, but you don't have to die in it. Your past is an explanation, not an excuse. Once you know better, you must choose better. Your decisions today are the seeds of tomorrow's harvest. Another dimension of breaking curses is what you allow into your heart through what you watch, read and listen to. The enemy often keeps people in bondage through the constant reinforcement of destructive messages. If you keep surrounding yourself with negativity, fear, and compromise, you are watering the very roots you are trying to cut off. You must fill your environment with truth. Read books that teach you how to think higher. Listen to messages that lift your faith. Surround yourself with people who push you toward your purpose, not back toward your past. Your environment is either fertilizing your freedom or feeding your failure. Many times, the generational curse has been present so long that people no longer even see it as a curse. They have accepted it as normal. But just because something is common in your family does not mean it is normal in God's kingdom. It may be common to struggle financially, to live in drama, to fight in gossip, to quit when things get hard. But it is not kingdom normal. Kingdom normal is peace, provision, purpose, and power. You must decide which normal you will accept. If you accept the curse as your normal, you will never break it. You must see it as an intruder and treat it as an enemy that must be removed. Some curses are emotional in nature. Emotional wounds get passed down because pain that is not healed becomes pain that is handed down. If your parents were bitter, you may have learned bitterness. If they were fearful, you may have learned fear. If they were controlling, you may have learned control. Emotional inheritance is just as real as physical inheritance. This is why you must allow yourself to heal. Go through the process of acknowledging your pain, grieving what you lost, and letting go of resentment. When you heal, you stop passing pain to others and start passing peace. Breaking curses will often require persistence through discouragement. The enemy will try to tell you it's not working. He will point to the current circumstances and say, "See, nothing has changed." But freedom is often happening underground before you see it above ground. Think of a seed planted in the soil. It is growing roots before it ever breaks through the surface. Just because you don't see the results, yet doesn't mean nothing is happening. Keep speaking truth. Keep praying. Keep walking in obedience. Keep choosing differently. Every choice you make is another root of blessing going deeper until one day the fruit appears. The enemy is strategic, but so is God. There is a reason you were chosen to be the one in your family who sees the pattern clearly. Some people in your family may never even realize there was a curse because they never questioned it. But you have been given revelation. And with revelation comes responsibility. You are accountable for what you know. If you know the truth, you can no longer lie as though you don't. Your life must now reflect that truth. The more light you have, the more accountable you are to walk in that light. You must also deal with fear, because fear is one of the strongest allies of a generational curse. Fear keeps you from stepping into new territory. Fear tells you, if you try to change, you will fail just like everyone else did. Fear tells you, if you break away from tradition, they won't love you anymore. Fear tells you, if you start new habits, you won't be able to keep them up. You must starve fear and feed faith. The way to do this is through constant exposure to truth, constant prayer, and constant action in the direction of freedom. Fear loses its power when you refuse to obey it. Consistency is the bridge between prayer and breakthrough. Some people pray passionately for a day or a week and then go back to their old patterns. But consistency builds momentum. Every day you make the right choice. You are reinforcing the new path until it becomes natural. At first it will feel hard, but over time the new way will become easier than the old way. You are literally rewiring your brain, retraining your emotions, and reprogramming your spirit. That is how you break a curse. Not by one emotional moment, but by a series of consistent moments that create a new destiny. There will be times you feel like giving up, times you wonder if it's worth it. But remind yourself who you are doing this for. You are not just doing this for yourself. You are doing this for your children, your grandchildren, and generations you may never meet. They will thank God one day that you were the one who stood in the gap, who fought the battle, who refused to let the curse win. You are literally altering the future by your decisions today. This is why the fight is worth every tear, every sacrifice, every lonely night. Your testimony will become a weapon for others. When you tell your story, it will give others courage to face their own family patterns. You will inspire people who thought they were doomed to repeat history. Your victory will give them hope that they can break free too. This is how God uses your struggle. He turns it into a tool to set others free. The process will mature you, develop you, and make you stronger than you ever thought you could be. You will discover parts of yourself you never knew were there. Strength you didn't know you had, courage you didn't know you possessed, faith you didn't know you could walk in. And when the curse is broken, you will not just have freedom, you will have authority. Authority comes from experience. When you have been through the fire and come out, you can speak to others still in the flames with confidence and power. This is the moment where you decide that the curse stops here. No more chains, no more cycles, no more silent suffering. You are not a prisoner of what your family went through. You are a pioneer of what your family will become. Every step you take in faith is breaking chains that were meant to hold you. Every prayer you pray is planting seeds for a new future. Every act of obedience is building a legacy of blessing that your children will walk in without even knowing the battles you had to fight to secure it. You may be the first in your family to break free, but you will not be the last. You are the proof that freedom is possible. You are the answer to prayers your ancestors never got to see fulfilled. God is using you to rewrite the story, to turn the page, to start a new chapter. And when you stand firm, when you refuse to go back, you will become a living testimony that curses can be broken, destinies can be restored, and God's way is always the way to victory. So stand tall, stand strong, stand free. The curse ends with you, and the blessing begins with you.